Greetings. We hear about gold bugs in the media a lot because those are the most vocal and the most shrill people. But a lot of gold bugs also invest in silver, which they believe adds to their diversification. And their rationale for investing in silver is about the same, in that there must be a fixed supply of silver available to transact in the world. Therefore, money printing should cause silver to go up. Now let's see if that has actually happened and how silver has done in relation to gold. Most of the arguments that debunk gold bugs can also be used against the silver bugs, so to speak, and those are mostly the same people. But a number of long-term trends as well as coincidental cultural memes have emerged at the same time that make this video worth making, rather than just refer to the gold video that is up in the right-hand corner over here, for why a bet on any inert commodity such as gold or silver is effectively a bet against all technological progress. So let's go back to 1989. The first time we were introduced to the character that you see in the screen over here. His last name happens to be Silver, and at the time, silver was at a price of $5.50 per ounce. Now this character plays a villain who is very, very wealthy, and in fact he is too smart to invest in silver himself. He invests in companies, notably tech companies and things like that, but his last name happens to be Silver. And he happened to be one of the best villains ever in a surprisingly bad movie, in a throwaway movie that was the third movie of a trilogy, one of the best villains ever, who was a no-name actor. It was in fact his very first acting role. Now the character of Terry Silver has appeared again in 2022. Here he is in 2022, and the price of silver is $20 an ounce. That means that in 33 years, from 1989 to 2022, the compound annual growth rate for silver's rate of return was 3.9% a year. That is not good at all. The S&P 500 did much better than that over the same period. Now this character, Terry Silver himself, is way too smart to invest in any precious metal, even though his last name is Silver. Instead, he invested in tech startups. He lost half of his fortune after the events of the 1980s, as the character himself said in his 2022 return, and he made his money back by investing in a number of tech startups in the time in between. Unsurprisingly, that is how he recouped his vast fortune. So even the writers of a television show know better than to say that he invested in precious metals and that's how he got his money back. That would not have flown in the script and would have greatly removed the suspension of disbelief necessary to believe in the character that is being presented on screen. Especially a character who had to appear in both feature films and a television show. Now back to the metal of silver and the investment thesis. This is a chart that was floating around Twitter, and I am shocked that there are people who believe this. This is a chart of silver relative to the NASDAQ 100, the tech stocks. During the dot-com bubble, because the NASDAQ was high, silver was relatively low. Silver got to a high again in 2011 and has been falling ever since. Now my thesis, as all longtime viewers know, is that the technonomic medium of the world is one unified medium and all technological disruptions are interconnected, and therefore a bet on any inert commodity is a bet against all technological progress. And this chart would seem to corroborate that. The long-term trend of any commodity, in this case silver, is down relative to technology equities because those are knowledge-based, information-based businesses that hire the smartest people in the world, and those people work very hard to grow the valuation of those businesses. A metal doesn't have that. But the blue part is something that someone who is a silver bug added, and his thesis, which I strongly disagree with to say the least, is that the shape of this chart, the black line, means that this blue part is imminent and that silver is going to rise 30x. Not 30%, 30x, meaning 3,000%. That is what these silver bugs actually believe. If you saw this chart, would you assume that the future of this chart was going to be like this? Would you really assume that? I surely hope not if you're watching this channel. To assume that silver is going to rise like this just because the previous bubble was the everything except commodities bubble is so incredibly wrong that it takes effort to be that wrong. You might as well have a chart that claims all of Moore's law is going to be reversed and transistor prices are going to revert back to the levels of 1971. Therefore, all computational devices of today are going to go away and the cost to produce transistors is going to be the same as it was back in 1971, which is to say 50 million times more expensive than today. all post-1971 electronics devices will go away because they will become cost prohibitive. Something that absurd is effectively what one would have to believe something this absurd. that silver is about to rise 30x because the last 40 years had a trend this way. In reality, as we can see, knowledge-based businesses outperform all inert commodities because when the price of a commodity gets high, technology swoops in to increase the supply of that commodity or find alternatives to that commodity if that commodity has an industrial use, such as oil. That makes sense with the first principles of technology and economics, a belief that commodities have to rise at the same rate as the NASDAQ 100, and because it hasn't for 40 years means that it's about to, is truly insane.
It sounds insane just talking about it.
Anyway, I hope you found this informative about seeing the relationship between silver prices and the NASDAQ 100, as well as the folly of all these precious metal investors and their theses. And among all investment communities, this is where I find the lowest amount of intellectual density and unemotional quantitative analysis. Half of the comments are, well, silver looks nice and makes me feel good. Gold looks nice and makes me feel good. That's why I want to buy it, because it makes me feel good. No discussion about whether the price will actually rise. And as I said, someone like Terry Silver is far too smart to have invested in any precious metal like silver. He said so himself. I hope you found this video to be informative as well as entertaining, and if you like this type of content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for watching.